name is Steve Bemis. I have a small hay operation down in the Dexter area. Food Safe HR 2749 is really a flawed bill as it currently exists. There are definitions of farm, for example, which tend in the aggregate to exclude only big monoculture operations and actually include diversified small operations because they take it from their neighbor and they make jam out of it, this kind of thing. So I would really encourage the Senator and my Congressman to look carefully at this legislation because it really needs help. And it's not going to fix the problems in the big ag system or in the foreign sources, which are 60% people who are trying to come under exemptions. Thank you.
Here, here. That, I know I was the last guy and I missed out for the other man, but if you want to encourage small farmers, the weight of the regulation upon us, for the very small guys, if you do a best practice for the food safety, if I do till because I have organisms in my soil that are beneficial and that's how I kill my weeds, to flip them over and add organic mass, that's going to fall to no-till. Because best practice will tell me, oh no, I can't do no-till because that's not a best USDA practice. So right now, my natural and organic material becomes illegal. Because I do it with a mule and I go with Mr. Davison to go to Eaton Rapids to truck it in to expand his farmer's market and use my equines as a draw, if we have a registration system, within 24 hours, I have to say, I took my mules off my property and I drove to Eaton Rapids to do it. And you may not have broadband computer access, but I'll have to pay for the computer, the software. So my startup cost, and the big dairy guys, all their regulation they work under, at least they have some muscle to do that. But the small people you want to start, we're going to strangle under these regulations. We won't have a way to go. So what do? We have to go underground. Now that way, APs, I don't want to report to these guys, once they know I'm out there, they're going to be coming over me. They look at my pasture area and they see a feedlot that's a 3 acres area with 3 mules. It's not a feedlot. How do you address that issue of the weight of regulation, the ease of interfacing with USDA and APs so that it's actually helpful? The worst phrase for the government, we're here to help. I'm a nervous man. I can't do what I want for Mayor Davison if we have NSA, because I'm not going to chip my mules. My chickens, do I have to chip every one? I'm not like Herbert's Farm. I don't have a couple 100,000, just 24. But I'll have to pay to have everyone chipped. And I'll have to buy the $1,000 barcode reader, $1,500 in Valley Vet to do the scan. And my eggs will be suspect too because I've got to have an inspector there. Now, how do you want me to start up? How will I do that?
Well, that's part of what we're trying to address with the Know Your Farmer, Know Your Food. That the Deputy Secretary is putting together a holistic look at all of the problems and challenges facing very small producers in a way in which we can see if there are ways in which we can respond to it, while balancing the need for making sure that there's food safety, because the worst thing that could happen to a small producer would be to have a food safety incident that's connected to the small producer.
Have we had one?
No, well, that's, you know, there's 75 million Americans that are impacted by foodborne illness. I don't know whether all 75 million of those folks were totally production agriculture. I don't know, but here's what I do know. It would only take one incident. Just ask the peanut farmers. Just ask the pork producers. It only takes one incident to ravish a market. So the balance here is to make sure we create opportunity for folks and at the same time make sure that we do what we need to do for consumers, because that protects the markets and protects consumers. I don't have an answer today, but I can tell you that part of what we are looking at is regulation. Part of what we're looking at is capital formation. How do you get the capital to start these facilities? Part of it is how do you create markets, not just farmers markets, but markets that actually create real opportunity for expanded growth. What kind of infrastructure do you need, you know, in terms of being able to provide product not just in 2 months out of the year or 6 months out of the year, but 12 months out of the year if that's necessary. So it's all of this is being looked at as part of this effort. And, you know, we just got started. We've only been in office a couple of months. But we are aware of the fact that this is an issue, and we have a process by which we're going to take a look at all these issues. And I just encourage you to continue to provide your comments. I'm going to take your comments back to the Deputy Secretary and make sure that regulations generally is on the agenda, and make sure that she understands the necessity. And then there's an issue of whether or not we can distinguish between small producers and mid-sized producers and large producers based on the congressional authority that these fine folks have given us. Because if there's one thing this good senator said to me, and every good senator said to me, is, are you going to follow the intent of Congress? And I swore to her and to them that I would. I just simply ask you to be real specific about what your intent is, because there are times when you're a little confusing. And if it's clear, we've got to follow it. So we are aware of all of these challenges, and we're trying to figure out ways in which we can make local production, local consumption a real anchor to a new rural economy.
Thank you.
Not a problem. I organically farm 200 acres, but I'm speaking from the standpoint of the farm market people, because I've helped several guys that work at GM that have lost their jobs to get the farm, to help them get the farmers markets, to get the vegetables and stuff to provide for their family. In fact, one of the guys, he has five children in his family, and he lost his job at GM, didn't know what he was going to do, and now he's successfully doing this. But like these other gentlemen spoke up, you talk about supporting the economy. If you pass the House bill, how it's set up now, you don't support the factory farms, you're supporting big business, and I mean big business. But the foundation of the American people and the local farmers, all those regulations wipe them out. And I'll give you an example. I'm organically certified. My certification fees run over 1,000 a year. I'm okay with that. It's my big part of my farm, and I'm small. I'm Father Ken Davidson. I'm only doing 200 acres. We do sell sun vegetables. Now, the regulations that I comply with that are organic are very similar to where that House bill is going. I could not afford to sell my vegetables if it wasn't for my large farm that I pay for from the organic side. So the guys that are doing vegetables and farmers markets, if you put those kind of requirements on them, they will not be able to afford to stay in business. And you shut those people down that are doing farmers markets. So I implore you, you've got plenty of lobbyists on the high value side, but the middle American farmer, people at farmers markets, small farm operations, if you put those additional regulations on them, you'll have the Monsantos and the large farm operations taking everything over. So all I'm asking you to do is, you don't have to reply me back with an answer. I'm replying to your heart.
Well, no, are you referring to the bingo bill, the House bill?
The House bill,
okay, well, I really appreciate the information, because as I have said before, when Wayne first talked about it, this has not yet come up for active consideration. And obviously, there's no man in the board who does what you just said. So we're going to make sure something like that doesn't happen. And so, I mean, there needs to be, as we're moving forward with food safety, obviously, from production agriculture, from a farmer's market standpoint, so we're going to be weighing in, and I'm sure that Mark is as well. I'm sure that the Secretary is, and has been as well, to make sure that whatever is done, it does not have unintended consequences. So let's keep... I don't think that bill's even moved at all. Let me just back up and say, first of all, when it is introduced, a bill's introduced, it's very important to get your concerns out there, which is why this is great. But there's a lot of steps before something like that would happen. And I don't think it's even come out of committee, has it?
Yes. Out of the subcommittee.
Subcommittee, not out of the full committee. So this is a long ways, luckily, from going. I mean, hasn't even come out of committee yet in the House, hasn't been voted on in the House, hasn't been taken up in the Senate, it's got several steps to go. So if you have concerns about it, it would be extremely helpful for me to hear that, and I know for Mark to hear that as well as the Secretary. One of the reasons, one of the big takeaways today, which I appreciate, is getting that really up on our radar screen, because this is not something that at the moment is the top issue in terms of what's being worked on the floor or in the process here of actually moving to pass. So we've got time but it is important to raise this. Let me just say one more time, I know we have to wrap up. The Secretary beyond, we've held him beyond his time. I just want to say thank you again to all of you. I know you have a lot of things you could be doing on a beautiful day. Thank you for what you do. Times are tough, but so are we. And we will get through this.